brain slew, slick with ectoplasmic juice.
Ecstatic energy, a fire that fuels our memory.
What genealogy with spiritual topography?
Questions for your answers. We are data necromancers.
Good evening, everybody. We're your hosts, Whitney Dawes and Rubbish Cook.
Good evening.
And this is the second night pod we've ever done. We are here. We are drinking. We ate purple and green.
I am so full of purple and green.
It was good.
It's so good.
Nice slice of beef from a local butchery and some chimichurri.
But we called it chimay. Chimay! Like from South Park, Timmy. If you know, you know.
Dude, I'm good. I'm fucking good. How are you?
Dude, I'm awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I feel a little on edge about the big activities that I have to do next week.
Tell me what you've got going on next week. You've got your big off person.
So there's an off-site that I have to do for 15 people, and Emma's going to help me with. But it's like, I don't know. I'm just worried about the bread part, because I've taught the pasta class many times, and I've made focaccia many times, but to teach focaccia while you're teaching pasta, it'll be interesting.
I feel like that is one of those things where on paper you're like, okay, I don't know about this, but then when you're doing it, you're like...
Yeah, I think so too, and it's like a kitchen that I've never cooked in before, so that'll be interesting. And then, you know, being 35 minutes south...
Dude, knowing you, you're gonna fucking crush it.
It's gonna crush.
You thrive under pressure.
I just have like this anxious veneer, you know.
It sucks when there are things looming in the future.
And that's what it is, because as soon as I jump into that stream and start flowing in it, I'm gonna be like a fucking baby in the candy star.
Like if somebody gave you a BEO 45 minutes before a wedding, you'd be like, let's go.
Yeah, right. But I've been sitting on it for like 2.5 weeks.
The egg is ready to hatch.
I know. But I'm excited about having more paid work. I'm excited to relaunch my Patreon jammer.
Fuck yeah, are you going to link it in this? We'll link it.
Let's link it. It's going to be click below to access Rubbish Cook recipes and things like that.
What made you decide to do recipes?
Because I guess when I went to go see Nigella Lawson talk here in Austin, and she's always been one of my biggest inspirations. And like first and foremost, she's a writer, and I miss the writing aspect of my craft, because like in 2015 2016 I had a food blog where
do you still have it up?
It's still up. I have to figure out how to edit it. Like, you can locate it.
Dude, you guys need to read this shit, because I remember I think I stayed up all night one night reading every word you'd ever written, and I was like...
When I saw that you had a blog where you were writing shit, and I was like reading your shit, and I was like, who is this girl?
Well, I'm really glad that you and I both stopped writing for no good reason.
Yeah, and I have a mind to start again, because, you know, what's a good platform to share it on? You can't share words on Instagram, really.
Right.
Facebook, like, nobody's gonna read your like really thoughtful writing, and I don't know. It seems like Patreon, and then include recipes too, which is like, if people really want them, I will pull them out of my head.
Can you put blog posts on Patreon?
Yeah, you can treat it just like a blog.
Shut the fuck up.
You can post videos, you can post pictures, all kinds of shit.
I remember Jake texted me after you'd gotten fired, and he was like, I feel so weird about starting a Patreon. I feel so weird asking people for money. This is wrong to him. And I said, Jake, people want to support you. You know, it's not about taking money. It's like, if like, okay, there's 12 months in a year and you've got a $3 tier or something. It's like, how much is that? They bought one thing for you and it's sustained, you know, it's like.
Yeah. And the thing is, when you put effort into making stuff that's not a job, and people like see what you're doing, and they're like, hey,
it's the modern commission,
how can I contribute, because what you do is really cool, It's like, here's a way you can contribute, and I'll just put stuff up there, and if you want to fucking look at it or give me money, then that's great. We have a symbiotic relationship.
Then the more art you can do, which is, you know, in the Renaissance time, rich people would pay for music,
right?
And sculptures and carvings.
And having the lower tiers is like, you definitely don't have to be rich. It's like the cost of a cup of coffee, which is a thing we're doing for our podcast.
Buy me a coffee, yeah.
So I don't know. You know, I feel weird about
inspiring me
the commodification. You should definitely do it.
Yeah, but here's what I learned from my dad. You fuck the system by getting in the system.
Yeah.
You don't fuck the system by maintaining and locking in poverty mentality.
No.
Because the truth is, this current infrastructure is not going away anytime soon.
And nobody is ever going to like see you suffering in poverty and take action. You know? Like, you have to take care of yourself and then work your politics or whatever it is you want to do. And the only way to eat crunchy potatoes dipped in sauce is to have money to buy crunchy potatoes dipped in sauce.
That sounds great. I want crunchy potatoes in sauce.
Dude, I'm so full.
I want to check my fucking levels. I knew it!
How are your levels then?
Yours is up higher.
Oh my gods. Did you look at some topics? Did you bring a topic?
I had a topic that came into my mind yesterday that I was going to talk about. It's how much I fucking hate billboards.
Ooh, go in.
So it started, I hate bad copy. Right?
Yes.
Like when you go to Whole Foods and
everywhere.
you say, or you see squish a squisherton when you get squished, and you're like, somebody wrote that. And what's actually going on is there are no copywriters. Nobody wants to pay for one. They're having the 18-year-old who's an intern write something dumb. And so I saw two really bad billboards next to each other on the way home from work. I saw one that said size matters, and it was for Church's Chicken.
Okay.
And this is what I did in my car. Does it? I don't know. This billboard makes me... Does it? Like, I'm defiant against how badly procured that fucking billboard is to where it makes me reject the statement on it.
Not even is it... I mean, it's not just bad, but it's lazy.
It's lazy. There's no picture of chicken. It doesn't make me want chicken. It doesn't make me want to go to churches.
But I asked... I think it begs the question... Are you the target audience? Is it supposed to affect you?
Okay. So is it targeting dudes with small wieners? And they go, no, it doesn't. Give me small, teeny chicken tenders.
The size matters thing just appeals to people who only think about dick size.
And it makes them want to eat chicken?
It makes them giggle and then file away like... Church's Chicken is all right with me.
Okay, so a billboard is shouting in my face, nothing valuable. And then valuable. You like go out into the sticks and it's like fetuses and political stuff, and you're just like, no one's listening to you in your real life. So you felt it was important to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to take out a billboard that you're forcing me. You're raping my brain with your dumb shit.
Yeah, it is like forcible viewing.
Screaming into the void.
Because you can't avoid it, you know?
I'm on this pathway to somewhere, and I have to smell your treacherous fucking fart. Another one was an H-E-B. Hate to call them out, but it just said, sweeter. And I sat in my car and I went, what's sweeter?
What was it a picture of?
Nothing. Just said sweeter. It was like silhouetted Christmas vibes. Sweeter. It's like, what's sweeter?
Yeah, I mean, the superlative implies that it's compared to something else, which is not mentioned. So is it just like, before it was just sweet, but now with HEB, it can be sweeter. But I would argue, just to be the devil's avocado, if it pissed you off, then it did its job.
I don't want to go there.
It got a rise out of you.
I don't want to go to HEB. I don't want to go to Church's Chicken. I want to kick the chair of whoever said okay to that.
I understand that you wish to rebel, but the idea of those places is now planted in your subconscious.
In whose bill?
And now...
And why does he have so many boards?
You're going to wake up one day and be like, Church's Chicken. Church's Chicken.
Oh,
I got a big dick. I got to go to Church's Chicken.
I have an archival folder of bad copy from years past in my fucking phone because I love how bad. I think AI would do a much better job.
I feel like what they need to do is generate it all through AI and then have the, pizza face, fresh out of school, nerd alert kid.
AI art, AI copy.
Select from AI generated stuff.
People are scared of robots taking their jobs. I'm like, yeah, well, you're so fucking bad at it. So this is what happens.
Dude, AI generated stuff is so cool. Well, like the songs are so eerie.
Ooh, I haven't heard the
it's
songs.
Like the or what I imagined they would be like, I guess. But like the creepy crawly effect that Charles Manson did in his before he would kill someone or something like that.
No.
Like he would go into their house and move everything 2 inches to the left and just give it a really off feeling when they would go back in. So scary, and I hate it. And I didn't watch any of the new Charles Manson whatever. This is just something that I knew from years ago. But AI generated stuff has that same kind of eerie, something is off and I can't quite put my finger on it kind of vibe. When we did the art, the generating of the...
There's a new generator that people are using that's way better.
What is it called?
I don't know. I have to look it up because it's got some weird name.
I have access to DALL-E.
We should do that one, and then the other one's more 3D
Whoa.
stuff, less memes all fucking each other on one page.
I tried to put, big titty alien eating pizza into DALL-E and see what comes up, but it's this is not a authorized search or something because it has titties and it's not supposed to generate porn
what
or
would you say?
something.
Voluptuous alien consumes pizza.
Yeah, I'll give that a go.
Curvy alien,
curvyaliens.com.
Perky alien. See, you can get around it, just ask me. Perky alien tits not authorized.
I think we need a big curvy alien right about now.
This is the new pod space. We're waiting on a couch, and then we're gonna get neon behind us, just like all the hipsters. No plants, though. I won't go that far.
Not even 2 ferns. I just rewatched Zach Galifianakis Between Two Ferns, the movie. Funny guy. Real funny guy.
Never seen it.
Do you like the art of Zach Galifianak?
I always am more curious about how it happens and how he gets people in between 2 ferns, and more than I like the cringe stuff. I'm not a big fan of.
Oh, interesting.
Some of Eric Andre stuff is really good, and I liked his movie a lot, but some of it can be, I just can't. I'm it's not my vibe.
In the movie, he had Keanu Reeves and John Hamm and Matthew McConaughey, and I don't know.
Do they trick? They get agents? Do they know? They don't know what they're going into, but some of them know.
They do know, and they're actors, so they're acting like they don't know.
So it's triple layer cringe. I can't. But maybe I have to be high, and I don't get high anymore, so that might be part of it.
You don't get me high no more.
Babe, what's number 1 on your docket?
You want to know what's on my docket?
I want to fucking know.
Firstly, I'm going to explode my stomach by filling it with all the food and liquid that is around a 2-mile radius.
Is it better to start a podcast hungry?
No, I'm just really full right now. So I was driving in my car, feeling like a star, And I look up at the moon, as I always do, and I say, bonsoir, papa, because in my mind, my father lives on the moon. Excuse me.
Burp mic.
And then I got to thinking, does it piss you off when I talk to you in French? You don't speak French. But whenever I speak to you on the moon, I speak French. And then I was like, why do you speak to him in French? Like, do ghosts keep their same language from when they were alive? Or do you just communicate in feelings? Like, it got me thinking on this tangent of, like, can you communicate with ghosts from other countries if you don't speak their language? Can you just, like, shoot a message that feels like what it's supposed to mean?
So it's both. So they keep their native language, but they'll figure out other ways to convey messages to you. Because Sarah was like, you need to figure out the names of your guides, and I never could. And she's like, sometimes the names are old and in a different language. It can be really hard to, like, get a name. And then she had stories about how long it would take her to get a name of something. Because sometimes if you're speaking to somebody who's been dead for a millennia, the language is already very different. Yeah.
I've always been so into language, and when I first went to college, I wanted to major in French so that I could become an interpreter for the UN. I thought it would be so cool. Like, I would be like a spy, and I would have a blazer and a briefcase. And inside my briefcase, there would be like this little
turd,
like a little trap door where I'd keep my pistol, like, just in case shit got crazy.
Did you ever want to join the FBI?
No.
So just the UN.
Just the UN. I just wanted to be an interpreter. Okay. I didn't want to solve crimes.
You just wanted to carry a gun in your briefcase.
But I knew being an interpreter, I might get into some shit, you know. Because people...
I've never thought, like, an interpreter would, but maybe. Yeah.
They probably do. I would. But then, at the end of my first year of college, I got appendicitis, and it was misdiagnosed, and I had...
Dude, if you didn't get appendicitis, we wouldn't be friends.
Dude, I've always had an interest in religion, even if it wasn't my major. But it did end up being my major.
Okay, when you studied religion, what religions did you study? All of them? Barely? There's so many.
Well, the lion's share of the classes were in Christianity.
That's what I thought.
So I took, like, History of Christianity Part 1, History of Christianity Part 2, but also, like, aspects of the Catholic tradition 1 and 2, which is, like, History of Catholicism. And then I also, like, my advisor, her specialty was Afro-Creole religions of the Caribbean, which was my favorite shit, because that was where, you know, West African religion coming from kidnapped people in Brazil, in the Caribbean, you know, in southern United States, was mixing with the different variations of Catholicism there. And that was called syncretism, which Catholicism is really good at, because they just want to, like...
They just want you to say yes.
They just want to swallow up all the world's religions, because Catholicism literally means universal. So basically they're just like, yeah, you can keep your African deities, but you should know that they're analogous to the Virgin Mary.
Jesus Cristo!
And Oshun, yeah, that's the Virgin Mary. And, you know, Saint Michael, that's your god, Elegba, or something, you know? Those aren't accurate, but you get what I'm saying. They're like, yes, keep your pantheon. They're equated to the cult of saints in Catholicism, but know that there is one God, and he also goes by Jesus. It was always really, really interesting to see the different ways people talk themselves into believing that everything was exactly as it should be.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
We're designed that way.
But like, I feel like we've talked about this before, where I was really into it in college, and I like kept a water shrine with all these different, like, instead of recycling a bottle or a glass, I would just like rip off the label, fill it with water, and put it on my shrine, so I'd have more of a reverberation of like spirit influence or something. And then I did a little bit of Islam, did like anthropology of Islam, and that was cool because I did like a case study where I got to visit a mosque while they were doing prayer, and I did a lot of things wrong, which was embarrassing, and I pissed some people off while they were trying to pray, and that was embarrassing. But it was also,
I would love to go to Jerusalem. I would love to go to Bethlehem.
Yeah. Jerusalem would be crazy.
And you just get a guide, and the guide is like, this is what you wear, this is what you do. Like,
yeah.
You know, they tell you all the shit that you can and can't do, and you're like, okay, cool. What I want to see. You can go see, apparently, where they've got certain areas of like where Jesus XYZ,
where his little feet were walking on the road.
I'm like, if you guys have, I believe it, that you've preserved this area for this long, because I felt that way in Monte Alban in Mexico too. You're like, oh my God, this is exactly how it used to be, you know, and that you don't ever get to see that, right? Everything's so rapidly changing that it would be cool to.
Yeah, and it's also interesting to see the ways that those types of places of pilgrimage are altered by the pilgrims visiting it. Like, people want to walk in Jesus' footsteps or whatever. But it made me think of the Shroud of Turin. Did you know about that controversy, that historical controversy?
Was that the shroud that looked like it had somebody on it?
It's alleged to have the face of Jesus Christ on it, because it's supposed to have wrapped his
toast.
It's supposed to have wrapped his remains or like body in between the cross and the resurrection. And I wish I could remember. I did so much research on it, and there's like a group of people who believe that there are like sinister clowns in the Shroud of Turin. And like, if you Google clowns in the Shroud of Turin, you will see some weird shit. So it's just like,
I know what I'm doing later.
What is the limit to what people will be like, well, maybe that's possible, or maybe that's true, maybe that's reality, you know, like fucking various clowns in the shroud of our Lord and Savior. I don't know. It's just that's the type of esoteric biz that I like to groove on.
I love it's, you're in college. I don't remember anything from any of my classes, and you're supposed to obtain a piece of paper that certifies you, but you're supposed to remember the things that you learned 10 years later. You're like, yeah, no, I have no idea.
Yeah, to me it's mostly just about saying that you were there and that I
attended class,
and like I met a lot of people. So that was like a base of knowing people who have spread out all over the country and have entered different industries. So if I have a mind,
it's also networking.
Yeah, if I have a mind to like, oh, I want to go fuck with like fucking Alexander Technique in New Mexico, and I'll just call my friend Rob and do that. Or, you know, I feel like college was mostly about just meeting people.
Networking. That makes more sense than trying to withhold the information that was poured into your skull. But I also
read a lot of William Faulkner, because I took a class called Faulkner and the Bible, and that was cool. A lot of good religion classes at UVA. A lot of scary stuff is popping off in Virginia and in Charlottesville and at
like
UVA. What? Well, recently a football player killed three of his teammates.
Do you know what that was over?
I can't really speak to what it was over. I think it was jealousy, or he was shunned, or he was expelled or something. I don't know.
Oof.
I don't know, but he
Awful.
was mad at those young men, and he decided to take their lives. And then also in Virginia at a Walmart, I guess a supervisor in Walmart brought a gun and killed 3 overnight workers, like a 17-year-old kid, like I think a lady in her 40s, and like an older dude, maybe.
Like the most vulnerable population. Anybody who works overnight anywhere, you know.
Yeah. And it's so scary to have that type of violence anywhere, but like that's where I come from. My mom is still over there. It's so scary to think about her just like going in to buy cat litter or some shit. But I guess that's the nature of it. Like, it could happen anywhere.
Yeah.
Scary stuff. So I guess I went off on a tangent, but my topic was ghost language.
Yeah, I have never spoke or communicated with one in a different language, not yet. I've gotten some native vibes over here there's like an arch, and then I found out, I looked up like Native Americans in Texas, and you're like, oh, they all lived along that creek, like all of them. And you're like, oh, well, that makes sense then.
Yeah, I feel like bodies of water are always really powerful because there's
so much beautiful trash,
a source of life, water, food, washing, making pottery, also traveling. Like, water is life. Ancient apocalypse, anyone? I've been doing nothing but thinking about how the sea levels are still rising and how our great cities are going to be lost under the sea eventually. Right? 12,000 years from now? Same shit?
Yeah, always. Same shit, different story. What do they say? Same shit, different day.
Same shit, different shirt.
I fucking... there's a few things that pop into my mind. When you're driving to Killeen from Austin, there's nothing, and then there is this pyramid-shaped hill, and then nothing. And I'm like, when I first saw it, I was like, Lucas, do you think that there was a fucking pyramid under there? Like a long time ago? Because it's flat, and then there's a pyramid-shaped hill, and then nothing. And he finds a place, God, I wish I had that kind of memory where I could name the places and where they were, where it's like, okay, underneath here, there was a temple, and they've done the science to prove it. And I'm like, okay, how do I get them to go to that hill in Killeen? Because it's 100% a fucking pyramid.
Definitely. I mean, there's so many instances of mound builders.
Yes.
All around this nation. And of course they look like not much because they're ancient.
It's so crazy how much shit is scrubbed off of all of our history, like all of it, all the time, and you're just fed this like really doughy, saccharine, boring history class.
It's like, no, oh, look straight, so look at me, look only at me, and eat this. Okay, perfect. And it's like Plato's allegory of the cave with the people who have their necks bound and they're staring at the back of the cave, which is just a reflection of reality, but they have to like break their chains and turn around and look at the sun in order to see the truth.
I remember standing on the top of Teotihuacan, big sun pyramid north of Mexico City, going, I never fucking learned about this. And there's more pyramids there than Egypt. And you're never fucking told that.
They don't teach about it. It's a land of conquest. We're still learning the narrative of conquest. It's like the barbarian myth. It's like there's nothing to gain from these people because they weren't civilized. It's just like the language of a colonizer. That's what we've learned. That's like the official story. But I feel like those stories are shifting.
Oh yeah, they are for sure, because people are...
I would love to see like a current day history book and see what it talks about.
I pray that it's different or has just any sort of more than anything that I fucking got.
If anybody has kids out there learning history right now in varying grade levels, I'd love like a picture of a shot in the textbook. I think that'd be really interesting and really telling of the trajectory.
Do you ever think about how throttled any media from any other country is in America. Like, we don't get any entertainment, we don't get any books,
I
we
was
don't
just
get any
thinking about
fucking
this because
magazines.
I feel like our country is just now realizing that soccer is a sport that is played by everyone in the world except for us on a large scale. And I mean, granted, I just was introduced to the World Cup myself, but it's like the Austin FC is ramping up. Everybody's like going to soccer games. But I saw this clip where all of these white men are chanting, "It's called soccer." And like, because the rest of the world calls it football, but they're like, "It's called soccer." It's like, oh no. So it's like
they're still screaming and demanding something from somebody.
But it's like this very slow, incremental, like, we will let foreign shit in bit by bit, but we won't grant it its full identity. Like, we have to strip it of its identity. I just think there's this rampant, like, xenophobia that's still very part of, like, American nationalism, which sucks because I want to be very proud to be an American, because I think it is a place where you can say whatever you want, and I think that's huge. But I hate that it just sort of erases everyone else and makes them worthless.
Unless you go to New York. If you go to New York and you go to Chicago, everybody gets to fucking let their freak flag fly. No,
I hope so.
Nobody cares, and it's all meshing. And
I hope it's not just like couched racism, you know, and segregation, but it's like approved segregation.
Yeah, I just can't help but think that it all stems from insecurity.
And what is that insecurity? Because I just thought about George Washington. I read something about George Washington today, which, you know, he's the original Captain America.
Right.
I guess he woke up one day with a sore throat, and he asked his doctor to bleed him heavily.
Sounds great.
And they bled him of 40% of his blood. And then he died of a throat infection.
Tight.
Rest in peace, Commander Washington. I wish they had better technology for you back then.
God, I'm glad.
Is that the basis of our American insecurity? We don't have true facts.
You know what I think it is? I think the world wars really fucking just rampant propaganda to get you to feel motivated to go fight, but so many things were foie gras style shoved in our fucking throat and then stayed there until the generation before us dies. Because
that's huge, because like a poster that depicts the enemy as the other, you're gonna want to go fight that. You're gonna want to like believe the lies that you have to protect your wife and your kids from the evil, you know.
Yeah, otherwise when you get there and you're actually face to face with somebody, how often are you like, I don't want to do this?
I know. There's a good scene about that in Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, where you know, one of the Southmen falls off his Oliphant dead. And then Faramir's like, you wonder if he has a home. You wonder if he has a brother and a wife. You wonder if he really wanted to fight in this war at all. It's not a direct quote, but paraphrase.
We have 9 minutes left. What?
I talk the whole time.
What could we do? What is something that could shape humans? Like how the military shapes people in a positive way. There's a positivity about, you know, being able to do X, Y, Z. What's something else that gives you a sense of urgency and motivation that could also craft a really agile person?
You have to envision the future, and you have to empathize with
the space army.
Well, you just have to envision the people who will live in the future, i.e. the people who are children or babies now. You have to have compassion for them and want the best outcome for them.
I want everybody to stop working at Walmart and stop working at Panda Express.
But they've all got rent to pay.
No, I know. But I want them to start building Stargates. Because I'm like a strong person of universal income.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I think, there might be a big chunk of people who don't ever want to do anything ever again. But I'm like, no, I think a lot of us are going to want to spend time doing something meaningful because we all are deeply thirsty for meaning and focusing. And if 90% of my fucking time right now is making money for someone else, and I can't do it anymore. Like, I'm just so fucking tired of it. But that's how everybody works. Everybody has bills to pay.
A lot of people do shit that they never want to do again. They do it every fucking day.
I know. That's how I felt about bartending. I'm like,
sucks.
Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it made me think of that lady who made her voice deceptively deeper, and she was like getting investors for her blood test thing.
Oh yeah,
what was her name? Like the one drop of blood. Yeah,
with the machine that was just like they showed footage of it, like inside the machine that could apparently, discover every disease and whatever. It was just a fucking mess.
Well, should we just like sort of pretend that we've already come up with the design for the Stargate and get people working on it so they have something to work on?
I want to create an app that raises the veil on every industry. So a transparency app that shows you how much this costs, how much it's sold for, how much people make, how much a company spends on XYZ, how much CEOs of hedge fund.
Where do you get that insider information?
I don't know. You fucking figure it out. You pay for it. It'd probably be really expensive to get that data, but you'd find it. And you'd hone it all into one app, and I would just turn around and close my eyes and my ears and hope that... Because I think
you don't think G-Men will come for you?
I think my life would 100% be in danger, but it'd be so worth it.
As long as you got people to look at it.
Yeah, you'd have to make it hip and fun and put confetti on the app and then get a like titties. And a follow and a subscribe with every whatever. But I think it'd be really interesting, and I think like if you want to go buy something and know if you're getting ripped off, or it's like I'm like convinced that the Danimals yogurt that Ruby eats is from China, but I can't find out where it's fucking made. Like, we're losing that, and I want to like bring it back. I don't care where it's made. I just want to know the address.
Yeah.
I want to know the fucking address.
Where it comes from. I was going to say patient zero, but it's not very nice. Yeah, you shouldn't get the Danimal stuff.
Yeah, it's got the most characters on it, and the different, it's got...
And that's the insidious way that they get sugar into your baby.
Yes.
They're like,
100%.
We know exactly how to make them want this. You're going to be powerless to resist. It's evil. They're very evilly just trying to take over the world.
Yeah.
What can we do?
I'm into it, dude. Before we might have a little bit more time left. I woke up crying. You ever wake up crying from like a really intense dream?
Not last night, but I have before.
I woke up because in my dream, my grandmother, who's still alive, it's 91 or 92, was playing with Ruby, and she had was the essence of the grandma I remember when I was a child, but also more energy.
Like positive energy?
Yeah, just like energized and with it and present, but the version of her I remember when I was a kid.
All the best stuff.
And she was like, thank you so much for letting me play with Ruby. This was so much fun. I put on an egg hunt, and they were just like playing, and like I was witnessing a joy that you don't ever really get to see in your day-to-day life. And I woke up mid-cry. And then I'm like, why are we crying? And then I remember my dream, and then I cry more because I can't go see her.
Yeah.
And she's still alive.
She's in Minnesota?
Yeah. And then I thought about her mom, who was the one that was in Ruby's bed when I was talking to the ghost.
Oh, yeah.
And how she's like waiting for her daughter to die.
So they can be together?
I got like wrapped like a fucking pig in a blanket croissant today with that shit first off the bat. I'm like, no more magnesium before bed because this shit's like fucking with me.
That's so heavy.
Yeah, I don't like starting my day off that way.
I woke up from a dream that rattled me too. Just like kind of icky scenario with like a partner that I used to have. It was just like very bad icky feelings, and when I woke up I was like, oh god,
we should share
I'm so
dreams.
glad I'm not there.
We should share dreams more, because I remember sharing dreams with Sarah, and she's like, I had 5 people contact me about that today. And I'm like, none of us are actively sharing our dreams. It'd be cool to see patterns, like, oh fuck, we're all dreaming about that one thing.
Yeah, I always hear, like, I'll try and describe my dream to someone who's like not too interested in hearing about it, and just think like,
who do you find like that?
I don't know, just like and then you'll just be like, oh, and then this happened and this happened and then and then there was like this and my feet were like gone. And then you're just like, oh wait, no one cares about anyone else's dreams. Like, I know if I told you a dream, you'd be like, oh, I'll
get so wrapped up in my response to hearing your dreams that I forget the rest of your like, we have to talk in, that's an off podcast bit, but
dream talk. It's an offshoot of my pod.
Dude, that's part of our Patreon.
That's part of our Patreon. You gotta pay to hear the dreams, don't you?
It's so sad, but also it's like, no, you have to pay for this because it took a lot of my time.
She bought these mics, she bought that camera, she bought these lights,
she bought that baby.
She bought this baby. Come here, bud. You want to say something
here,
into
baby
the
bud.
talk show?
Dude, she jumped in front of my camera today and started telling the people that she got a donut, and she was like vlogging. Ruby, do you want to tell a joke?
No. The camera's right there. Did you talk to TT?
What's TT up to?
Everybody.
Dude, Davis is so excited to be in here. He's like, oh.
I love Davis. I just want to take him for a night out or a day out.
He would love that.
Yeah, just like go to Zilker Park with him and drinking your water.
Take him to Zilker Park. We should take the pups there.
That would be so fun. Just like throw a frisbee for him.
Neither of them would go get it unless it was made of cheese.
We could dip it in peanut butter.
That might actually work.
Ruby, did you have any dreams recently?
Did you go see Dan? You didn't. Ruby told me a funny joke earlier. She said, I smell something. And I was like, what, a fart? And she's like, no. A stinky lollipop. It's like, I looked around. It's like, what?
Come here, Murph.
Oh, we've lost our visuals.
Well, what a little dream pod.
Dream pod.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
Turn it on.